What is up, everyone? Welcome to the 2025 F1 Fantasy season. This is my YouTube channel, F1 Fantasy Pole Position. My name is Ewan, and I am so happy and ready to be back doing some F1 Fantasy content. If you are a new viewer, welcome to the YouTube channel. If you are a previous subscriber or anyone that I've interacted with in the past, welcome back. Are you ready for the biggest season of F1 Fantasy yet? It is Monday, January 27th, just to date this video, and today we're going to be going over some bold predictions before testing, before liveries, or whatever. I want to put my neck out there and let you guys know what I'm thinking ahead of the 2025 season, and I've got some audience bold predictions as well, so we're going to go through all of those in today's episode. If you are new, if you know the YouTube channel or whatever, but you have not done the biggest thing you can do to help me out. It is not money. It is not following me on Twitter. It is giving me that subscribe and like on this video. So I greatly appreciate that. I'm probably going to bug you a little bit about it during the preseason, but we've got so much planned on the YouTube channel for this season. More live streams, more everything. We've got some guests coming up in the preseason. I am very, very excited for this year. I hope you are as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the break. I am ready. I've kind of revamped the channel a little bit, so let me know in the comments below or you can hit me up on X and stuff like that at F1 Fantasy Ewan. F1 Fantasy Pole Position is too long for a Twitter handle, a TikTok handle, and that. So on all those places, I am at F1 Fantasy Ewan if you want to follow me on there. But yeah, hit me up. Hit that subscribe button, but let's get into today's episode content, and that's going to be bold predictions. So I wanted to go over last year's bold predictions. I think I did okay. 13 out of 30, 43% hit rate. Biggest hits here are George Russell over Lewis Hamilton in the World Drivers' Championship. Both Haas drivers gone for 2025, although K-Mag has returned and is kind of like testing cars, so I don't know what we're doing there. Perez off the podium in the Drivers' Championship. McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari would win a race, so feeling pretty good about that. Not too shabby at all. Biggest misses, also Haas related. Haas scores less than 12 points and finishes 10th. That was a gigantic swing and a miss, so hopefully I'll try and do better with Haas this season. Kick has 2 top 5 qualification results, so yeah, would really like that one back as well. Logan Sargent has 2 top 10 finishes, and V-Carb finishes 5th in the Constructors' Championship. So there were some hits, but there were some really, really big misses in the bold predictions for the 2024 season. So I've tried to do a little bit better for 2025, but like I said, it is January. We are 1 month from today. There will be cars on track doing some preseason testing. So that is why I am launching today. Very excited. Can't wait to see it all out there. We're going to have some reviews from testing, but we're going to have a lot more content over the preseason here. 1 episode every week from now on until the season begins, and then we're going to get right into it with some deadline live streams, all that sort of stuff. So here are my 2024 bold predictions. I did okay, but I also had some huge misses, so I'm hoping to do better in 2025. So we're just going to go through the constructors one by one here, from 10th to 1st for the 2024 results. So Kick Sauber this year. Last year they had Hulkenberg in 11th. Bortoleto was not here. The team finished 10th. So results are going to be for the drivers for this upcoming season in the World Drivers' Championship, all that fun stuff. You can figure it out. You guys are smart. So bold predictions for Kick Sauber are both drivers score points, because can the car get much worse? It did show signs of life towards the end of the 2024 season. Zhou Guanyu was kind of getting frisky there the last 3 or 4 races. But I think Hulkenberg and Bortoleto are both better drivers than Zhou Guanyu. I don't want to say Bortoleto's a better driver than Valtteri Bottas just yet, but I do think Hulkenberg is better than Bottas. So while Sauber has so much to kind of make up for in 2025 as we head into the new regs in 2026, all the cars are still kind of coming together. And I think this is a team that, while it has no championship aspirations for 2025, they need to operationally, logistically get back on track for 2026. Maybe by 2028, we're looking at Sauber competing for wins with Audi coming in as the main kind of sponsor and manufacturer for this squad. But they can't really afford to just throw in the towel. They need to get so many things sorted. They are kind of in like the position that Williams was in a few years ago. So I think they're going to keep trying throughout the year, and I think that will sneak in a couple of points results for the drivers. Speaking of one of the new drivers here, we've got Gabriel Bortoleto, who is the back-to-back F3 and F2 champion, if you are not familiar with him. So he has some pedigree coming into Kick Sauber, former McLaren Academy driver there. I think he's going to outscore at least two of his fellow rookies, Jack Doohan and Isaac Hadjar. Now, Bortoleto, out of those three drivers, probably the most secure in his seat for the entirety of the 2025 season. Jack Doohan, as we know, already under pressure of this, as the Franco Colapinto has signed as an Alpine reserve driver, and the speculation is already like whirling around the F1 paddock about how many races is Jack Doohan gonna race in 2025. And Isaac Hadjar, he finished second to Bortoleto in F2 last year. He's a little feisty. He's kind of Sonoda-y in his temperament on the track and stuff. So I think he will be okay, but I'm not entirely sure how patient Red Bull will be with him. It kind of felt like he was just the last man to get picked on the playground to kind of fill out a Red Bull seat. So I think Bortoleto, because he is, in my mind, at least right now, guaranteed to race all 24 races for the 2025 season, I think he's going to outscore at least Jack Doohan and Isaac Hadjar. And like I was saying here, Kick Sauber, they're kind of a team that needs to work on operational logistics, like kind of just figuring out everything. So I think they're going to keep trying throughout most of 2025. That may not mean like car development per se. However, Aston Martin is a team that is pretty operationally sound, I would say, but they are all eggs in for 2026. So maybe Alonso gives it a go for the first few races, but then I can see the Aston Martin squad easily kicking the can to 2026. And I think Kick Sauber is going to outscore Aston Martin in the second half of the season. Now, I crowdsourced everyone on Reddit, Twitter, Blue Sky, all those fun spots where you can follow me, F1 Fantasy Ewan. And no one gave me a Kick Sauber. So I had to ask my little brother to come in as a kind of emergency bold prediction. So as you can see here, he says the new guy outscores Hulk in F1 Fantasy. So Gabriel Bortoleto to outscore Nico Hülkenberg in F1 Fantasy. And then he says Sauber are at least the 7th best constructor to use in fantasy. That is bold. So props to the little bro for coming in clutch with some audience bold predictions. Let me know out of the 4 bold predictions here, which one is most likely for Kick Sauber to come true. Next up here, we've got Williams, we've got Carlos Sainz and Alexander Albon in the squad. The team finished 9th last year. My bold predictions for Williams are Sainz finishes top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. They're going to get 1 top 5 finish, and they'll finish 7th in the Constructors' Championship. I think that's going to be a big boost for Williams this season, getting a seasoned professional, has been in a top team, kind of like Carlos Sainz. And I think it's just going to raise the floor for everyone involved at Williams. Alexander Albon's going to have to raise his game as well. It's going to be a really, really interesting season for Albon in general. Like, if he gets absolutely pummeled by Carlos Sainz, his stock is going to take a huge hit. However, if he can match Sainz, if he can kind of keep up with him, be close enough and stuff, I think that's going to raise his profile quite a bit. It might actually hurt Carlos Sainz a little bit for getting into a top team. But yeah, 7th in the World Constructors' Championship. That's because I think a couple of teams will throw in the towel for 2026, whereas Williams still kind of building towards. We've heard James Vowles say that it's all about 2026, but they do want to be in a good spot at the end of the season, get some more money, get some more investment in the team. And Weak Coconut 8 on Reddit said, hopefully not too bold, but Sainz kills it at Williams. I do think, I can, as you can see here, Sainz finishes top 10 in World Drivers' Championship and 1 top 5 finish, which I'm going to say is going to go to Carlos Sainz. So I agree with you there, Weak Coconut 8, that Carlos Sainz is going to kill it at Williams. I realized I went pretty long on Kick Sauber, which was kind of strange. So I'm going to try and keep it nice and tight for the opening episode of the 2025 F1 fantasy season. Racing Bulls here. We've got Tsunoda and Hadjar in the car. I am going to say that Yuki Tsunoda drives for Red Bull this season. Not Racing Bulls Red Bull, the big boy Red Bull. So I think we're going to get some deputy duty at some point here for Yuki Tsunoda with his contract with Red Bull in general just running out after this year. I think the big brother team is going to give him a shot at one point this season. Isaac Hadjar finishes bottom 2 in the World Drivers' Championship. I just think the stage might be a little bit too big for the rookie here, so I'm not predicting a great season for him, and the team finishes 8th in the World Constructors' Championship. Lumpy21 on Reddit said, Hadjar outperforms Yuki and leads to some good second team drama. That is a bold prediction because over the last, 3 seasons now, Tsunoda has taken it to Nick DeVries. He's taken it to Daniel Ricciardo. He outperformed Liam Lawson. Red Bull just doesn't seem to want him in the car full time. However, he did get the postseason test in the Red Bull in Abu Dhabi just a couple of months ago. So that's a little bit of encouragement for Yuki Tsunoda. I don't agree with the bold prediction from Lumpy21, but it is bold. That's what I was looking for with all these bold predictions. So I appreciate you letting me know. Out of these 4 over here for Racing Bulls, what do you think is the biggest or the most likely bold prediction to come true? And I've actually got one more here where optimal_bench5423 says, okay, this prediction is depending on if he gets his super license before he turns 18, but Arvid Lindblad replaces Yuki or Hadjar, more likely to be Yuki, midway through 2025. And this is kind of deep in the weeds for just your general F1 fan, which cannot blame anyone. That's totally understandable. Lindblad is the next up and coming guy in the junior circuits and the feeder series, all that stuff. So keep that name on your watch list. We'll see if Red Bull starts to get a little bit more cutthroat as the season winds down. We'll see how the big team is actually doing. Are they going to make some promotions? Are they not going to be impressed with Liam Lawson? All that kind of stuff. So I think there will be some more movement among the Red Bull big brother team and the feeder team here as well. But I love this bold prediction that Arvid Lindblad replaces Yuki or Hadjar at some point during the 2025 season. Haas, the team that I was most wrong about, they have welcomed Ocon and Behrman into the team. I think they're going to do quite well. They're going to get one top 5 finish. They're going to outscore their 2024 results because I think Haas is one of those teams that they want to keep building. 2026, realistically, Haas know that they're never competing for a Constructors' Championship. They're never going to really have a driver that's competing for the World Driver Championship. So they just want to keep building on and on and on. However, I think this is one of the stronger pairings they've had in the last 4 or 5 seasons. So Ocon and Behrman, very good driver pairing. Behrman, still a rookie. He did drive 3 times in 2024 when he raced for Ferrari in substitute duty for Carlos Sainz during his appendectomy, and then K-Mag when he was sick in Brazil and was race banned in Azerbaijan. So Behrman does have a little bit under his belt. Haas love him. Ayo Komatsu loves him as well. There's already rumors of is Behrman going to be the guy that replaces Hamilton in the 2020 or 2027 season if things don't go all hunky-dory for Hamilton at Ferrari? So the sky seems to be the limit for Ollie Behrman here. And I think both drivers are going to finish inside the top 12. Ocon has some pedigree. I think this car is better than the Alpine. Overall, over the course of the 2024 season, Alpine had that huge spike result in Brazil, and Pierre Gasly was very good at the end of the 2024 season. But Haas in general, I think they're still trending in the right direction. Alpine, it's their final year as their own engine manufacturer. So I'm just really curious, is the higher ups just trying to get that team sold to a new manufacturer coming in, that kind of thing. They have a deal with Mercedes for 2026. So that will be something to watch as well over the course of the 2025 season. Is Alpine going to throw in the towel? So I think Haas is going to take that to their advantage and just build on there, get a top 5 result as a driver, outscore their 2024 finish, and both drivers finish inside the top 12. Petter Viklund, who is a regular viewer, liker, subscriber, commenter on these channels, so thank you. Petter says, Lando will win and Ferrari wins the Constructors. Not sure if that's bold or not. Ollie Behrman and Antonelli will end up on the podium. So he had quite a few there, but I just want to get this Haas one in. So Ollie Behrman on the podium for Petter. That would be bold. Haas, I am pretty sure, have never finished on the podium while they have been in F1. They have had a pole. That was K-Mag in Brazil a couple of seasons ago. But let me know in the comments below if I am incorrect on that. But I don't remember Haas finishing on the podium at any time in F1 so far. But that is a great bold prediction from Petter. Moving on to the next team here, Alpine. I'm going for it. Duhan drives at least 6 races. The rumors have been that he has a contract for 6 races. So did that include Abu Dhabi? I'm not entirely sure. I just think that we're already writing this guy off. I don't know. He's one of the best drivers in the world. I don't think he's just going to give it up because some other driver signed as the reserve driver. So I think he's going to drive at least 6 races, which would get him through at least Saudi Arabia. Maybe Miami is the 6th race. So that's where we're at. Gasly has 2 top 5 finishes. I really believe that Alpine, they sorted that car out in the second half of this season, and Gasly got like the last little improvement there for the Alpine car. Ocon was kind of trailing at the back of the pack a little bit, but Gasly was putting in some banging performances there. Was like well in line, kind of got like ruined his race in Vegas with some bad race strategy, and then like was going so fast that his engine exploded or something. Like it's something crazy. But yeah, podium in Brazil, really impressive in Abu Dhabi and Qatar as well. A little unfortunate in Vegas. And while I believe Colapinto will take Duhan's seat at some point because Alpine is trying to sell the team, Colapinto is bringing in tons of money, that sort of stuff, I don't think he's going to be in the 2026 lineup. I think Gasly's going to be in the 2026 lineup. And I didn't include it in the Williams, but my second bold prediction would be that Carlos Sainz is going to be driving for Alpine in 2026. I think if Alpine shows improvement, they do a little bit better than Williams. If Alpine's getting that Mercedes engine, and the rumors are that Mercedes have kind of cracked the code for 2026, but we're going to get some people on during the preseason to talk about that a little bit as well. I'm wondering if Sainz is going to see this as an opportunity to move a little bit further up the field and get closer to a bigger team again. So Alpine getting a Mercedes engine, I think Carlos Sainz going to make the jump in 2026 to Alpine. Upset application 37 says Williams becomes a lot better with Sainz to finish 6th or 7th, maybe 5th if Sainz can do it in a Williams. Lawson gets a okay rookie season, finishing 8th, and then Duhan finishes 20th while Lando becomes World Drivers' Champion. I would assume that there. So yeah, Duhan finishes 20th, so not a lot of people believe in him. I think he's going to get at least a fair shake with Alpine. He has been a valiant kind of like soldier for Alpine over the last few years, like has had his shake in F2, was a good reserve driver last year, stepping in at the end of the year. He's done some good sim work. So while I'm not in love with the Alpine management at all, I think they're going to give him just a little bit of a fair shake here for Jack Doohan. So but I do believe he will finish way far down. Finishes 20th. I think I responded to upset application 37. Said, are you sure it's not 21st? Because Colapinto might come in and score some points. He said, oh yeah, that might happen as well. So those are the bold predictions for Alpine. Moving up the field a little bit here, Aston Martin. I'm going to try and avoid talking about Aston Martin as much as possible, at least in the preseason. We'll see what happens here for, I guess, the rest of the season, but I really don't think they're going to do all that much. Stroll scores less than 20 points. He has been on a downward trajectory going into the gravel, all that fun stuff. So I just not in on Lance Stroll at all. Alonso has 0 top 5 finishes. I think I said last season that he wouldn't have any podiums after a very successful 2023 season, and that was one of the ones I got right. So I'm just going to extend it a little bit, say he doesn't even get into the top 5 once in 2025, and the team finishes 7th in the World Constructors Championship. I don't think they are all in on 2026. They got Newey here, but he can't start until March, so he's not really going to touch this 2025 car. And if Aston is all in on 2026, they're probably going to, I predict Aston will be one of the earliest teams to throw in the towel, to just put all their eggs in the 2026 basket. So they will finish 7th in the Constructors Championship. And F1 Fantasy Fuel, which is a great follow, you can go follow them on X. The handle is right there, if you can see it there. Aston Martin last in the Constructors, and Stroll doesn't score a single point. So I didn't go that far. I think Stroll will maybe crack the top 10 a couple of times in 2025. But yeah, scores less than 20 points. So me and F1 Fantasy Fuel are kind of in line there. As you can see, like right above my head here, these are just some important dates. Preseason testing starts February 26th, which is 1 month from today, or 1 month. We will be doing preseason testing 1 month from today. We'll be on the second day here. And then the Australian Grand Prix, March 14th to March 16th. So less than 2 months until the season is back. And there's going to be plenty of content on the F1 Fantasy Pole Position YouTube page. So hopefully you guys stick around and you can get notified if you hit that little bell, subscribe, and like all that fun stuff. But yeah, not really high on Aston Martin heading into the 2025 season. Going into the big 4 here, Russell and Antonelli are on this team for the 2025 season, but I don't think it's all going to be a little like honeymoon period after Lewis Hamilton leaves. 1 win all season for the Silver Arrows. Maybe it'll come in Vegas, where George Russell seems to thrive. Maybe they'll get it in the 0.5 degrees Celsius window where the car can thrive, and they'll be able to sneak a win this season. Kimi Antonelli reaches the podium in his first season, so that would be a fantastic result for him. I heard some like weird kind of like early pressures on Antonelli. I don't think Mercedes are going to shove him in this car and like have really high expectations. I think they're ready for 2026 as well. So I'm not really all that in on the pressure on Antonelli, and I think he's rapid. I mean, he's going to make some mistakes. He's a rookie, so that's something that we'll need to watch as well. And kind of my biggest prediction here is that Russell loses to Liam Lawson in the World Drivers' Championship. Just thinking Red Bull, Liam Lawson is a little spicy, he's a little feisty. Russell's got some experience on him in the Mercedes, but I do think that top 3 might distance themselves a little bit for the 2025 season. I think Mercedes, with Antonelli just being a little bit weaker, it could be a strange season. So yeah, Russell loses to Lawson in the World Drivers' Championship. And Quit OK 4646 on Reddit came out with one of the boldest ones, 7 upvotes. Bottas replaces Russell mid-season. I mean, if Russell gets sick, then I'll give Quit OK 4646 the win on this. Like if Bottas replaces Russell for some illness or like a crash or something like that. But I don't see it being a driver change for Bottas, but you never know. So yeah, illness or injury, then you will get the check mark on there, Quit OK 4646. But yeah, I don't think it'll be as good of a season for Mercedes in 2025 as it was in 2024. Now we are moving into the big 3 here. Red Bull. Verstappen wins the World Drivers' Championship. I think he's being written off too early. I know everyone wants to anoint Lando Norris the World Driver Champion in waiting, but just Max Verstappen is a monster on the track, and he had the 3rd best car at times last season, or pretty much the second half of the entire season. He's barely lost any points to Lando. We were all wishing and hoping that this Drivers' Championship title fight would come in, and it just never really got around to it. So I'm still backing Max to win the World Drivers' Championship. I think Liam Lawson gets his maiden victory in F1. However, like this just speaks to how good Verstappen is, despite I picking him to win the World Drivers' Championship, but I don't think the team is going to win more than 7 races this season. I think Ferrari and McLaren are really going to have like a 4-way battle with all those drivers: Hamilton, Leclerc, Piastri, Norris, and before you yell at me in the comments, maybe the math doesn't work out here, but I'm still backing Verstappen to win the World Drivers' Championship, and I don't think Red Bull as a team will win more than 7 races. That's not including sprints. That's just Grand Prix. So yeah, I think that's going to be fairly dominant, but with Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, all kind of like maybe seeing the light at the end of the tunnel where they can claim a driver's championship. I think they're going to take chunks out of each other, and Verstappen's just going to be there, second, third, couple of wins here and there, just like poking and prodding the points throughout the season, and that's going to get him the World Drivers' Championship. Kylo Pato 117 on Reddit says, I think Liam will be a lot closer to Max than people think. I think Ferrari early on will ruin their races when choosing who to be number 1 between Lewis and Charles, so that's what I was saying right there. And I think Oscar will bring it to Lando from the very start of the season. I agree with that one as well. I think Piastri was like kind of still the new kid on the block at the beginning of the year, and even when they got the upgraded car and became the fastest car on the grid, I think Piastri was a little bit like, well, maybe it's like Lando's time, but then he was putting it to Lando in the middle third of the season a little bit. And I know like Oscar is a fantastic competitor. I don't think he's going to like be the number 2 to start the season for McLaren, even if they are like, it's Lando's year, we're going to get him the title, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Piastri's going to settle for that, especially with Australia being the first race of the season. Like, he's going to come out of the blocks flying. So definitely interested to see what his price is going to be for the 2025 season. Moving on to Ferrari. Ferrari's going to win the World Constructors' Championship. Leclerc and Hamilton are going to win 3 races each, and Hamilton's going to finish 4th in the World Drivers' Championship. I don't think it's not going to be the full-on romance of Hamilton gets his 8th world. I think those days are gone. I think Leclerc is like 13 years younger than Hamilton. We still got Verstappen, we got Norris, we got Piastri, we got Russell. I think there's all these younger guys coming up. So while it would be fantastic to see Lewis lift another Drivers' Championship, I think 7 is where he's going to stop, and that's where it's going to be. It's going to be an improvement from last year where he was 7th in the Drivers' Championship. He'll move up to 4th, but I believe that Ferrari kind of shoring up Carlos Sainz's sometimes inconsistent weekends. Leclerc has got another year under his belt. There has been some like murmurings going around that Ferrari has slightly improved their car over the winter and maybe like leapt McLaren for who has the best car. And that'll be really interesting to see. Petter here, I reused this one. Lando will win and Ferrari wins the Constructors. Not sure if that's bold or not. I think it's bold. It would be ending a huge drought for Ferrari in Lewis Hamilton's first season. So that would be a success for the team. I think Charles Leclerc would be super happy that Ferrari finally gets a championship with him in the car. Lewis Hamilton will be happy. And kind of he'll be waiting to see what 2026 brings. I just can't see Hamilton winning the Drivers' Championship. However, I'm going to reiterate the date so I don't get eviscerated later in the season. This is January 27th when I'm making this video, so I haven't seen preseason testing. There is some TPC testing going on right now. Hamilton's had like 30 laps down at Ferrari's base, so maybe this will all look quite silly in a month's time when we get preseason testing. But that's why you got to do your bold predictions before testing. It's not bold if you do it after testing when we see all the cars. Like 2 years ago, you're like, bold prediction, Aston Martin looks way better than they did last year. Yeah, they crushed testing. So that's why I wanted to get this out there with some bold predictions. Final team here, McLaren, 2nd for Norris, 4th for Piastri last year. The team won the Constructors' Championship. Piastri wins more races than Norris, though, but I think he's still a little bit spiky, and Norris will be more leveled out. But 0 championships for the Papaya, which would be sad for me, as you can see. Wearing McLaren shirt, 0 championships, no Drivers' Championship, no Constructors' Championship. I think Verstappen is going to win the Drivers' Championship. I think Ferrari is going to win the Constructors' Championship. But after 0 championships, I'm going to say there's going to be rumors with both drivers linked with new teams potentially moving forward, especially Piastri. I think there's a chance that we could be hearing some murmurings of like, well, Piastri doesn't want to be behind Lando that much longer, blah, 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 blah. Like, is there another spot? Like, is Max going to sign for $1 billion at Aston Martin and open up a seat at Red Bull where Mark Webber was, who is his agent? Like, all that stuff. So I think there's going to be some heavy rumors with both drivers linked with new teams, which is not like a objective bold prediction, but just kind of a silly season, like with so many people just kind of waiting for how 2026 is going to shake out. I think we'll get some pretty heavy rumors with both drivers linked with new teams, and the bearded beast Piastri will dominate over Lando in June. Piastri will be the team number 1, and he will also be fighting for the World Drivers' Championship at that time with Lewis and Max. So firing on all cylinders, the bearded beast, who is great on the F1 Fantasy Tools Discord. You should definitely go over there and check that out. So yeah, my bold prediction is for McLaren is like they're not going to kind of reach the highs of last year, but overall that's where I am leaning with the 10 teams. And the final slide here is the championships. This is where I'm predicting the championships to be. So for the drivers' championship, it's going to be Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Piastri, and Liam Lawson in 6th spot. And then for the constructors, it's going to be Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, Haas, and Alpine. Like I said, Aston Martin's going to be in 7th or 8th. Yeah. So that'll be very interesting how this all shakes out. Like I said, these are bold predictions. It is January 27th. So that is where my mind is at right now for F1 Fantasy. So that'll do it for the first episode of the F1 Fantasy 2025 season on F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Like I said, if you want to give me a little bit of help, like, subscribe, get notified whenever a new video comes out. I'm shooting for every Monday. There's going to be a new video on this channel during the preseason. There's going to be way more deadline live streams. Could be some other stuff coming out, just kind of planning that during the preseason as well. But if you've been a viewer in previous seasons, as you can see, it's kind of a new layout. So let me know what you think about the new layout. I'm still kind of tweaking it around here. Got new like streaming software, all that fun stuff. But like I said, you can hit me up on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram at F1 Fantasy Ewan. You can just leave a comment down here below, and I will be readily available to answer all F1 fantasy questions during the preseason. Testing is 1 month away. I cannot wait. There's going to be tons of content coming out of this channel. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It is good to be back. I cannot wait for the new season, and I will talk to you next time.